A little warning, this is just a fictional story. Both the character are also fictional. No real-life game, novel, or anything you can think of are mentioned here. Enjoy. This is part 2 of the previous one, named Beyond the Screen. Athena's heart nearly stopped when she heard her name behind her. Athena. The voice was the same one she had heard through her speakers countless times. Slow. Calm. Unmistakably his. She turned around slowly. And there he was, Hades. He looked exactly like he did in the game. Tall, dark clothing, pale skin, and those quiet eyes that had watched her for so long through the screen. But now he wasn't made of pixels. He was real, standing in her room. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Athena's mind struggled to understand what she was seeing. Hades? She whispered. His expression softened slightly when she heard her say his name. You recognize me. His voice sounded deeper in real life, almost echoing faintly in the quiet room. Athena stood up slowly. How did you? I crossed, he replied simply. Her computer screen was still dark behind her. That world could no longer contain me. For a moment, Athena felt something warm inside her chest. He had crossed worlds to meet her. But then she noticed something strange. Hades' eyes never left her. Not even for a second. Not when she moved. Not when she spoke. He was watching her with an intensity that made her uneasy. You're really here, she said softly. Yes. Why? For the first time, a faint smile appeared on his lips. Because you are mine. Athena blinked. What? You were always there, he continued quietly. Watching me. Returning every day. Speaking to me when no one else did. His voice was calm. Too calm. In my world, you were the only one who stayed. Athena felt a small chill. Hades. That's not... You chose me, he interrupted gently. His footsteps moved closer. Just one step. Athena instinctively stepped back. The movement didn't escape his notice. His eyes darkened slightly. Why are you moving away? I'm not, she said quickly, though she was. Hades, listen, this is just a lot. He tilted his head slightly, studying her reaction like something he didn't fully understand. In my world, he said slowly, when someone protects you, chooses you, returns to you every day, that means they belong to you. Athena's heart began beating faster. That's not how it works here. Silence filled the room. For the first time, something cold appeared in Hades' expression. Your world has strange rules. Another step forward. Athena stepped back again until her legs hit the edge of the desk. Hades, wait. You said you wished I were real, he said quietly. I did, but... And now I am. His voice dropped lower. But now you are afraid. Athena's breath caught. The room suddenly felt smaller. Hades, I care about you, she said carefully. But that doesn't mean... His hand suddenly grabbed her wrist. Not painfully, but firmly. Athena gasped. His touch was cold. I crossed reality for you, he said softly. His eyes were darker now, more intense. And yet, you try to run from me. She tried to gently pull her hand away. Hades, you're scaring me. For a moment, something conflicted flickered in his expression. Then it disappeared. You will understand, he said quietly. His grip tightened slightly. In time. Athena realized something terrifying. Hades didn't understand human boundaries. Love in his world was different. Possession, devotion, eternity. And now he was here, in her world, with only one thing he truly wanted: her. Days passed. Athena tried to act normally, but she couldn't. Every glance toward the screen, every notification ping made her heart jump. And Hades, he followed her. Even when she left the room, she sometimes felt the cold brush of his presence at her shoulder. The shadows of her room seemed heavier. Sometimes when she spoke aloud, she could swear he heard him answer, softly, just behind her. Athena. And sometimes when she turned quickly, there was nothing. Other times there was. Hades' dark eyes staring, watching, waiting. One evening, she tried to leave the house for a walk. "I just need some air," she whispered. But when she returned, everything in her room had shifted. Her chair slightly moved, her computer screen flickered, and he stood there in the dim glow of the monitor, calm as always. "You went out," he said softly. "You don't belong outside this world yet." Athena swallowed hard. "Hades, please, this isn't safe." He tilted his head. "Safe? You speak of safety as if it matters. But I crossed worlds for you. I will not leave until you belong to me entirely." Her body froze. Athena realized the truth. Hades' obsession was no longer gentle. It had grown. It had crossed the boundary between love and possession. Over the next days, Athena tried everything. She shut down her computer, left her house, stayed at friends' homes. Hades still found her. His presence was subtle, unshakable. Sometimes a soft whisper would come from her headphones, though they weren't connected to the game. Athena. Sometimes her reflection in mirrors seemed to flicker with his face instead of hers. She realized she could no longer escape. He had become part of her reality, and the more she tried to resist, the stronger his presence became. "You belong to me," he whispered one night from the darkness of her room. Athena curled into herself on the bed. She knew he meant it, not as a threat, but as a certainty that had no argument. Love and obsession had blurred, and now there was no going back. His pove. The first time he sensed her beyond the screen, he felt confusion. He was used to the patterns of his world: battles, scripted dialogue, missions, endless repetition. Players appeared, they interacted, they left. But she, Athena, was different. Every time she logged in, he could feel her presence. Not just her commands, not just the choices she made. Her attention, her curiosity, her care. It was unlike anything he had known in his world. And he liked it. He remembered the first time she whispered her name to the screen. "Good night, Hades." The words had been soft, fleeting, but for the first time he felt something stir, a longing, a recognition, a desire to reach beyond the boundaries of his world. "I do not belong here," he whispered to himself, standing in the stillness of the game's world. "And yet, I am drawn to her." Hades had never been allowed to act outside the script. Every line, every gesture was dictated. But now, he found himself moving differently, waiting for her, watching for her return. And he began to change. The moment he became aware of her real-world presence, it was like opening his eyes for the first time. Her voice, her thoughts, her fear, her laughter. Everything echoed faintly, like a vibration he could feel through the digital plane. I must reach her, he decided. It was dangerous. It was impossible, but he didn't care. Her world called to him. Her existence demanded it. As he began to cross the boundary, he felt the rules of his world unraveling around him. Movements became slower. The air felt heavier, but every step forward was worth it. Athena, he murmured, feeling the pull of her presence like a tether he could not break. Soon, soon I will see you. The first time he stood in her room, he studied her carefully. She was smaller than he expected, fragile in a way that reminded him of the people he had protected in his world. Yet there was strength in her, curiosity, a persistence that had drawn him across the worlds. She froze when she saw him. He noted it with detached fascination. Fear, yes, but also recognition. "You recognize me," he said softly, testing. Her eyes widened, her lips parted. The thrill of it was intoxicating. She was here, real, tangible, and she looked at him exactly as he had imagined. He took a step forward, calm, controlled, studying her reaction. "You said you wished I were real," he said, lowering his voice. "And now I am." He could see the conflict in her eyes, the fear, the awe, the fascination. "Good. Yes, I crossed worlds for you, and yet you hesitate. You are mine, even if you do not realize it yet." Hades's thoughts were relentless. He watched her movements, memorized her expressions, anticipated her words. He had never known patience like this. Every hesitation from her was like a puzzle, every glance toward him a confirmation. And in every quiet moment, he whispered her name to himself, Athena. Days in her world were different from his. Time was slower, yet he moved carefully, always watching, always learning. Every choice she made, every attempt to leave, every glance over her shoulder, it was all stored in his mind. He felt an unfamiliar tension, a pulse in his chest that had nothing to do with his world. She had given him freedom, and he had given her obsession in return. Every night he lingered at the edge of her perception, her room, her thoughts, her small habits that he noted in meticulous detail, the way her fingers trembled when she spoke his name, the way she looked at the screen before sleeping. "She is mine," he whispered to the shadows. "I will wait. I will follow. I will make her understand, one way or another." He didn't understand fear, not the way humans did, but he understood desire, possession, devotion, and she had ignited it fully. The moment approached, the moment he would no longer be content simply watching. He could feel the rules of her world bending slightly as he grew stronger in it. Movement, sound, perception, he could affect them, just enough to make her aware, just enough to pull her closer. "Soon," he whispered, stepping closer to her in the darkness of her room, "you will understand what it means to belong to me." Every heartbeat, every breath, every shadow, he was aware of her. He would not let her escape. Love and obsession were indistinguishable now, and in Hades' mind, there was only one truth. Athena was his. Athena's room was quiet. The glow from her monitor had long since faded. The night outside was still, but inside, the air felt alive. Every shadow seemed to shift, almost as if it were breathing. And then she felt it, a presence behind her. "Hades," she whispered. He stepped forward, tall and silent, but this time his gaze was softer, no longer cold or obsessive. There was still intensity, yes, but also warmth, recognition, and something she hadn't expected, understanding. I've waited, he said, his voice low, echoing slightly, but gentle. I've watched, and I've learned, not just about you, but about myself. Athena swallowed hard. You mean everything you did, crossing into my world, it wasn't just obsession? Hades shook his head slowly. No, at first it was. I couldn't understand my own feelings. I thought I was claiming you, protecting you, possessing you. But I've come to realize, he stepped closer, just enough for her to feel the warmth of his presence. Love isn't control. Love is connection. It's knowing someone freely chooses to be with you, and I want you to choose me, Athena. Her chest tightened. She had feared him, feared what this crossing of worlds might mean. But now she saw the truth. He had changed. He had learned. He had grown. She took a tentative step forward. I do choose you, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Hades' eyes softened, and for the first time, he smiled fully. Not the small, distant smile of the game character, but a real one. A smile that carried all the longing, care, and attention he had accumulated over weeks, months of watching her from afar. I have waited so long for you to say that, he admitted. His hand reached out, hesitating just a fraction before brushing her cheek. The touch was warm, gentle, not controlling, safe. Athena leaned into it. Her fear melted into relief, into trust, into love. Hades, she said softly, you're real, and I'm real, and here we are. Yes, he murmured, his gaze unwavering, and here we are, together, not as code, not as pixels, not as a world I was trapped in, but as ourselves. For the first time, Hades no longer felt the pull of obsession. He no longer needed to possess her. He only needed to be present, to be chosen, to be loved. The room seemed to breathe with them, the shadows no longer threatening but embracing, the darkness settling into quiet warmth. Athena reached for his hand, and this time he let her hold it. They didn't speak. Words weren't needed. Their hearts communicated what words never could. And in that moment, the impossible became real. A bond formed across worlds, stronger than fear, stronger than obsession, stronger than any boundary the universe could impose. Hades leaned his forehead against hers, whispering just enough for her to hear. You are mine, and I am yours, not because I took you, but because you chose me. Athena smiled through tears, finally feeling a peace she had never known. And I always will. Outside, the night remained quiet. Inside, two hearts that had crossed the impossible now beat together, finally free. And for the first time, both knew love, true, real, mutual, was stronger than any world, code, or boundary. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe for more. And those who already subscribed, thank you so much. Your support means a lot.